back-to-back, quizzes back-to-back from chapter 1 to chapter 18. I'm going to time myself, and I'm going to put in some binaural beats, and that's all. And I'm not referring to my notes or anything until the very end of the exam. So sit, relax, and enjoy this mock exam. Here we go. So, and then after the exam, I'm gonna write out top 3 weakest chapters and tackle those. I got next Thursday is my actual exam. I need 60% to pass. 2 hours. I'm timing myself in just 1 second, and then I'm 30 minutes to mark after. So hang on. Turning on this online timer, and then I'm gonna plug in binaural beats, no copyright. This is literally what I do. So 2 hours, boom. I just gotta load everything up. Wait, let me load my course first, and then we begin. Here. Just so it starts right on time. So how should I do it? Yeah, just start from chapter 1. Come on. Here we go. So, yo, what's going on, Wyatt? Hit subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button. We're about to start our 2 hour mock exam. So, here it is. Here's the course, and literally I'm gonna go in section by section. So it's three chapters per section. Wyatt, yeah, I can say Wyatt, and then there. So I'm doing all these back to back. Chapters 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 13, 14 to 16, 17 to 18. Wyatt, yeah. Okay, here we go. Starting the timer. No notes, so like I said, doing them all back to back. Mock exam, my actual exam is on Thursday. So I need 60% to pass the actual exam, and I'm gonna write out my top 3 weakest chapters after this. And I'm gonna give myself a minute 20 per question. 30 minutes to mark after. No notes. Those are off. Here we go. Wyatt. All right, here we go. Timer's starting now. There. Here we go. There we go. There. Okay, move this over here. Oop. And move this right here. Here we go. Mason. Okay, here we go. There. Court reviews the investment purchases of a client and determines that the client had a high degree of reliance on the advice of the salesperson. Legal principle the court has confirmed. fiduciary duty. Determine the client who is most likely to have a high degree of risk tolerance. Bob, retired on a pension. Rebecca, a student in the MBA program. Kean, a newly married father of one. Sasha, a 30-year-old lawyer in established practice. Sasha. Abisha holds 10,000 units of a mutual fund with $1 million outstanding. Calculate the amount Abisha will receive if the firm distributes $250,000 in investment income. Yeah, 10,000 units of a mutual fund with 1 million units outstanding. Calculate the amount we'll receive if the firm distributes $250,000 in investment income. Hang on. Gonna get our online calculator here. All right, no, it's yeah, times there we go. Has 40,000 to invest and will need the funds in 2 years. Based on her risk profile, she has a low level of risk tolerance. Determine the type of mutual fund that a salesperson would recommend. Low level risk tolerance. 2 years, she's gonna need it. Money market. Determine the type of mutual fund that a salesperson would recommend. A firm has made a new mutual fund available for sale. It is an equity fund that will invest in shares of a new startup technology company. Determine the client that would most likely be suitable for this investment. High risk tolerant Canadian banking executive, a risk averse investor. Omar, a married parent of 3, a risk averse investor with 10,000 investment capital. Yeah. Martha, high risk tolerant Canadian and banking executive. Question 6 of 30. Calvin Mason. How would you best define compliance? Complying not only with the letter of the law, but also with the spirit of the law, following the rules, or those rules are legal requirements or dealer policies. Always putting the client's interest first. Are those legal requirements or dealer policies? Yeah. Mark has requested his salesperson to purchase a mutual fund. His salesperson to purchase a mutual fund that the salesperson considers suitable. Mark has requested his salesperson to purchase a mutual fund that the salesperson considers suitable. She refuses to put the purchase through as Mark is an unpleasant client who she wishes would work with another salesperson. Identify the responsibility of the salesperson is violated. Ethical, moral, professional. Professional. Elderly's client has complete trust in her abilities. She has to reach a sales target for the month. An investment is suitable for him and it persuades him to place an order. The consideration of your client, legal responsibility, ethical. Yeah. Client directs his salesperson to make an investment in a mutual fund, but the salesperson cannot determine if the investment is suitable. Identify the action. I refuse the order. Marit has financial assets of 85,000, bank loans of 15,000, and a car loan of 20. Calculate her net worth. So the 85,000 minus 15, 70,000. 70 minus that is 50,000. So net worth is always total assets minus total liabilities. Identify an indirect investment from the following list. Identify an indirect investment from the following list. Government invests in a new hospital. Couple buys a rental property. Overseas company pays the startup cost for a new plant. An avid investor buys shares in a new issue. Invest in a new car. Yeah, government invests in a new hospital. Which of the following is a characteristic of capital? Plentiful, fixed or static, sensitive to the environment. Yeah. Unselective, fixed or static, sensitive to the environment. When will foreign users want Canadian capital? Yeah. When 1 unit of their currency is, yeah. Yeah, when 1 unit of their currency is equal to 1.5 Canadian dollars, then they want Canadian capital. How do municipalities raise capital to finance services for their communities that are expected to last 20 years or more? Installment debentures. Medium-term government bonds. Short-term bonds, issuance of T-bills, yes, installment debentures. Those are for longer term. XYZ company decided to raise funds to finance a new production plant. XYZ issued a security to the general public that gives the investors an ownership stake in the company. Identify the security that they issued. Shares. Identify the investment product that is based on underlying securities. Identify the investment that is based on underlying securities. First thing, yeah, identify the investment product that is based on underlying securities, derivatives. Identify a unique feature of an open-end fund. Sell it from the other counter market, can buy it and sell it from the dealer market, can buy it and sell it directly from the fund. Yeah. Which of the following is fundamental to the operation of a stock exchange? Suitability, taxation, liquidity. Yeah. Select the exclusive exchange for financial futures and options in Canada. Financial futures and options in Canada. MX. TSX, NEO, CSE. What does the term over-the-counter refer to? Auction market, dealer market, primary market, listed market. Primary market, no. Dealer market. Auction market. Auction market. Auction market. Yeah. Auction market, dealer market, listed market. I'm going to say listed market, which would be excluded from a list of factors that limit our ability to buy and consume as much as we need. Should be excluded from a list of factors that limit our ability to buy and consume as much as we need. Accessibility of financial information, aggregate economic capacity in a given time period, personal income. Would be excluded from a list of factors that limit our ability to buy and consume as much as we need. Yeah. Identify the issue that is analyzed by macroeconomics. If the increase in taxes paid will affect the consumer's buying power. The effect of minimum wage laws on the supply of labor. Reason behind the increase in unemployment last year. That's macroeconomics. The effect of labor costs on the company's profit margin. Reason behind the increase in unemployment over last year. That's macroeconomics. Yeah, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. What is the term used when the price that someone is willing to pay for a product matches the price at which someone is willing to supply the product? Market equilibrium. What is the term used when the... What is the term used when the price that someone is willing to pay for a product matches the price at which someone is willing to supply the product? Market equilibrium. The political environment in Canada is very stable. In addition, the government decides to decrease taxes on foreign investment. Select the effect on the Canadian dollar. Supply of Canadian dollars remain the same, so the Canadian dollar will increase in value. Political environment is very stable. In addition, the government decides to decrease taxes on foreign investment. Canadian dollar will decrease in value. Very stable. In addition, the government decides to decrease taxes on foreign investment. Okay, yeah. Canadian dollar will increase in value. Yeah. Nice, we're almost there. 5 more questions in this quiz. It's 10 p.m. I'll make sure to join tomorrow 100%. Appreciate you being here. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'm on finishing chapters 1 to 3 quiz, and I'm going back to back to back all the way up to chapter 18 in 2 hours to simulate my real exam that's coming up this Thursday. What is the effect of using the income approach or expenditure approach when measuring the GDP? GDP is higher when measured by the income approach. GDP measured by the income approach and by the expenditure should be the same. GDP is lower when measured by the income approach. GDP is lower, yeah. GDP is higher when measured by the income approach. What do changes in the nominal GDP from year to year reflect? In the prices of goods and services and changes in the amount of output. They reflect only the change in the price of goods and services in a year. The change in the total cost of doing business from year to year. They reflect only the change in the amount of output produced. Total cost of doing business from year to year. Reflect both the changes in the prices of goods and services and the changes in output. They reflect only the changes in prices of goods and services. Total cost. Can't remember this one. Studying mutual funds, Peter. Yeah. They reflect only the change in the amount of output produced in a year. They reflect only the change in the total cost of doing business from year to year. Yeah. Change in the amount of output produced in a year. Only the changes in prices of goods and services in a year. Only the changes in prices of goods and services in a year. They reflect the change in total cost of doing business from year to year. They reflect both the changes in the prices of goods and services and changes in the amount of output. Yeah. What is meant by the increase in productivity? An output per, yeah. Increases in output per industry, increases in output per worker. What is characteristic of the expansion phase? Expansion phase. Corporate profits falling, employment's falling, stock market activity is weak, and unemployment's falling, yeah. How do economists use the output gap? Output gap is an indicator to measure unemployment pressure. Output gap is an indicator to measure inflationary pressures. Yeah. The price level for most goods has fallen. The price level for most goods has fallen, and the annual change of the consumer price index has been negative over the past 2 years. What type of inflation is characterized by this scenario? Disinflation. Deflation. Disinflation is where prices have gone down. Nice. I got 80%. All right. Just writing down how I do section by section. 1 to 3 or 1 to 4? Yeah, 1 to 3. Okay. Not bad. It took me 17 minutes for that one. Boom. Section 4 to 6. Know your client. Okay. Okay. Identify an objective of an effective financial plan. Setting aggressive goals, accommodating changes in lifestyle and income level. Yeah. Identify the step in the financial planning process that comes before analyzing data information. Strategies to meet goals, collecting data information, analyzing data information, collecting data information. Select the reason that an advisor should formalize a client relationship with either a letter of engagement or a formal contract. To ensure the client is fully aware of exactly what services the advisor will provide and what information. Provide the client with specific investment options that are anticipated to meet. Client relationship with either a letter of engagement or a formal contract. To provide the client with specific investment options that are anticipated to meet the client's goals and objectives. Yeah. What services the advisor will provide and what the information the advisor will require in order to prepare a plan. I like this one. Identify the action an advisor must take if a client refuses to provide any part of the minimum information required on a standard application to open an account. Consult compliance officer. Decline opening account to the client provides, yeah. Obtain a written waiver from the client and consult the compliance officer. Identify the action an advisor must take if the client refuses to provide any part of the minimum information. Yeah. Required on a standard application to open an account. Open the account. I'm going to say politely decline to open the account until the client provides this information. I remember it being, you need a waiver. Appreciate it, Jenny. Appreciate it. Open the account without attempting, no. Politely decline to open the account until the client provides information. Select a mutual fund category that fulfills the safety of capital objective. Money market. Identify the primary asset categories and asset allocation. Yeah. Cash, fixed income, securities, and equities. Stocks, options. Yeah. Cash, fixed income, securities, and equities. Define discretionary income. Money available to a client to pay expenses and invest. No, the amount of money a client has available after investing in savings. Difference between money coming in from employment, as well as other sources, and the tax paid on funds. Difference between money coming in from employment, as well as other sources, and the amount of money going out to pay expenses. Yeah, discretionary income is after expenses and investments. Coming in from employment as well as sources, and the other money going out to pay expenses. Money coming in from employment as well as sources, and the tax paid on funds. Client is available after investing in savings. Yeah, money available to client to pay expenses and invest in savings. Money coming in from employment. Yes, I'm gonna say that one. Define net worth. Assets, total assets minus total liabilities. Total assets minus total liabilities is net worth. Income minus total liabilities. Yeah. Identify the checkbox on a mutual fund account application. Identify the checkbox on a mutual fund account application form that best indicates how attainable goals are likely to be. risk tolerance, how attainable goals are likely to be, risk tolerance, net worth, annual income. Mutual fund application form that best indicates how attainable goals are likely to be. Yeah, risk tolerance, so it depends on your risk. Determine the investment strategy that would be found at the top of the planning pyramid. Top of the planning pyramid: mutual funds, insurance, precious bonds, precious metals, bonds. I'm gonna say determine the investment strategy category that would be found. Determine the investment. Nice. The investment category that would be found at the top of the planning pyramid. Determine the investment category that would be found at the top of the planning pyramid. All right. I'm gonna say. And bonds, mutual funds, because it goes. I think it goes highest on the planning pyramid, highest risk to lowest risk. I'm gonna say precious metals. Which behavioral bias is characterized by unwarranted faith in one's intuitive reasoning, overconfidence? Endowment, representativeness, overconfidence. Yeah. Which behavioral bias results from investors' need to classify objectives and thoughts? Behavioral bias results from investors' need to classify objectives and thoughts. Rationalization, yeah. Which behavioral bias would a man be least likely to demonstrate? Availability, loss aversion, yeah. Which describes an emotional bias. The inclination is to seeing past events as being predictable, taking action based on feelings rather than facts. Yeah. Investing based on estimates, the probability of an outcome, according to general rules on, yeah. So taking action based on feelings rather than facts. Which behavioral bias places more value on assets already owned versus not owned? One's not owned. Regret aversion, yeah. Endowment, decision avoidance, representativeness. Yeah, behavioral bias, regret aversion, endowment, yeah. Which behavioral bias on average recognizes potential investment losses twice as powerful motivator as the possibility of a gain? Loss aversion, yeah. Nice, we're already halfway through this one. Parvina, welcome live. Thanks for tuning in. Hit subscribe if you guys are new here. Doing 2 hours of mock exam. I'm going doing quizzes back to back to back. We're on chapters 4 to 6. We just did chapters 1 to 3. So I'm aiming for 24 minutes to just under 30 minutes per section. Which will be most likely result when moderating the asset allocation of a client who risks outliving their assets? Which will be the most likely result when moderating the asset allocation of a client who risks outliving their asset? Higher client investing comfort, lower client risk tolerance, high investment risk, lower investment return. Yeah, which will be the most likely result when moderating the asset allocation of a client who risks outliving their assets? Yeah, lower client risk tolerance, lower investment return, because your time horizon is shorter. Lower client risk tolerance, high investment risk, which will be the most likely result when moderating asset allocation of a client who risks outliving their assets. Moderating, yeah. What does behavioral finance assume? Can be described by a set of rules. Investors make rational investment decisions, are imperfect in their perceptions. Yeah, investors make rational investment decisions. Which behavioral bias causes investors to hesitate Which behavioral bias causes investors to hesitate most at moments when aggressive investment behavior would be most appropriate? Regret aversion, endowment aversion, loss aversion. Which of the following statements regarding cognitive biases and emotional biases is incorrect? Which of the following statements regarding cognitive biases and emotional biases is correct? Cognitive biases stem from information processing or memory errors. Cognitive biases can be thought of as blind spots in the human mind. Thought of as blind spots. Yeah. Stem from information processing or memory errors. Originate from impulse or intuition. Only emotional biases lead to irrational. Only emotional biases lead to irrational judgments. Yeah, no, not true. Okay, question 21 of 30, chapters 4 to 6. We're almost done this one. Which correctly ranks the dollar amount of taxes owed on different types of income from highest to lowest for an investor subject to the highest federal tax rate? Owed on different types of income from highest to lowest. Interest income, and then capital gains, and then foreign dividend income. No, interest income, Canadian dividend income, capital gains. Definitely not Canadian dividend income. Highest to lowest. Yeah, capital gains income, foreign dividend income, interest income. Oh, this is a good one. Capital gains income, foreign dividend income, interest income, capital gains income. Yeah, capital gains income, foreign dividend income, interest income. When is the earliest and latest that a Canadian resident can actually choose to collect Canadian CPP? You can start taking CPP as early as age 60. And as late as age 70. Jocelyn has a company-sponsored plan that, according to the plan, tax will pay her $1,500 a year in retirement for every full year of employment. What type of employer-sponsored plan does she participate in? Money purchase, final average, career average, flat benefit. Money purchase, final average, career average. According to the plan, tax will pay her $1,500 a year in retirement for every full year of employment. I'm going to say career average. What type of pension plan allows members to decide how their money is invested? Money purchase plan, flat benefit plan, career average plan. How their money is invested, usually based on a list of available fund choices. Flat benefit, final average plan, career average, money purchase plan. A list of, I'm going to say final average. If at the RSP deadline, Anna mistakenly overcontributed to RSP by $3,300, what penalty tax will she face the following month from the CRA? It's 1% per month. So 10% is $330, 1% is $33. Marie contributes $14,000 to a spousal RSP on February 28th of year 1. When is the earliest that her husband could withdraw the monies so that it's taxed in his hands? contributes, yeah, on February 28th of year one. And when is the earliest that her husband could withdraw the money so that it is taxed in his hands? Like right away. An individual will have an individual will have until the end of what year after an education savings plan? 35 years. Was first opened to use the funds before their RESP expires. Can you phone a friend? I'm frazzled at snack break. Can you phone a friend? No. I cannot. I'm busy right now. What age can a Canadian resident open a tax-free savings account? 19. Okay, we got 2 more questions in this quiz. Not bad. 15 minutes per section. That's pretty good. Or just over. Drake's new employer offers a defined contribution pension plan as part of the compensation package, which the following statements correctly identifies the characteristics of the type plan. Can contribute to the plan. The contributions to the plan are predetermined. The benefit paid upon Drake reaching retirement is predetermined. Drake can contribute up to 10% of his current year earnings to the plan. Contributions are predetermined. Yeah, only Drake's new employer can contribute to the plan. Yeah, the benefit paid is predetermined. Defined contribution pension plan, yeah. Can contribute up to 10% of his current year earnings. I'm going to say contributions to the plan are predetermined, yeah. For the previous tax years, Sundeep reported $55,000 in employment income, $4,500 in net rental income, and $1,200 on interest paid on a student loan. What amount of income should Sundeep use to calculate his maximum allowable RSP contribution for the year? I'm going to say $59,500 interest, $4,500 in net rental income.
Oh, hi, you scared me. I didn't know you were
All right, I'm back. Yeah, retirement and taxes, it's a lot. Which order amount for security that is less than the standard trading unit? Which order amount for security that is less than standard trading unit? Odd lot. What type of preferred stock requires its holders receive any dividends in arrears plus the current year dividends to be paid before any common shareholders receive any dividends? Perpetual preferred shares. Yeah. Investments A and B have the same expected return. Investments A and B have the same expected return, but investment B has an expected risk higher than A. Investment X and Y have the same expected risk, but investment X has lower expected return than Y. Which two investments would be a rational investor's preference? Yeah. Then investment X and Y have the same expected risk, but investment X has a lower expected return than Y. So it'd be B, Y. Yeah, but investment B has an expected risk higher than A. Oh. Higher than A. Oh, yeah. So then it'd be has expected risk higher than A, so they'd take A. And then investment X and Y have the same expected risk, but investment X has a lower expected return than Y, so A and Y, yeah. Client invests $10,000 at the beginning of the first year. He earns a return of -4% of the first year and a +4 in the second year. What is the value of his investment at the end of the second year? -4% and +4 in the second. So yeah, so we had -4. $40. So 10,000 minus 40, 9,960, and then first year and a +4 in the second year, and then times 0.04, 9,960, 39840 plus 9,960. 10,358. What? Earns return of -4% the first year and return of +4. What is the value of the investment at the end of the second year? Weird. I guess. Oh, that's why. No? Yeah, so that's 9,960. And then a return of +4%. So 9,960 times 104. Oh. 10% is 999. Yeah. So no, it's not right. 9,960 times 4.0%. I'm not sure about that one. God damn it. end of the second year. Plus 4 minus 4, 9960. Yeah, I'm gonna say. Yeah. Ah, man. Which determines purchasing power? Real return, annual return, nominal return, expected return. Annual return. I'm guessing I'm the only one here. Oh, Diva Cheetah, welcome. No, it's all good. Yep, you're the only one here right now. We had a bunch of people. People keep coming in and out of the live because again, it's a lot of focus. But I'm verbalizing the questions as I'm doing them with you guys. Did well in the first section, not so well in the second section. So I know what gaps I have to study once we're done this exam. But I got an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm giving myself 2 hours to complete it. What determines purchasing power? Real return, annual return, nominal return, or expected return? Purchasing power. Well, real return because of after inflation. Yeah, I'm gonna say real return. An investor purchases a non-dividend paying stock at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, it was worth $45. And then by the end of year 2, it was worth $55. What is her annual arithmetic mean return over the two-year period? So 50 plus 45. So $50 in year 1. By the end of year 1, it's worth 45 over the 2-year period. 45 and 55. So 55. And and then arithmetic mean. So $50 plus 45. No. Numbers aren't jiving. There's a non-dividend paying stock at the beginning of year 1. By the end of year 1, it is worth $45. By the end of year 2, it is worth $55. What is her? Oh, God. Doing it so far? It's been almost an hour. 51 minutes so far. And I've got 6 chapters done already. Yeah. And I'm on chapter 7 to 9 section quiz. Doing them all back to back, treating them like a mock exam. Like, damn it. I'm trying not to spend more than 1:20 per question. Lunch yet? No, not yet. I'm gonna do lunch after this. Because for the actual exam on Thursday, I'm not allowed to eat or drink anything, and I'm no bathroom break, so I have to simulate. Because it's online proctored, so I have to simulate like I'm gonna do it in real time. Oh, I forget. I'm gonna have to dive deeper into this one. I'm not sure about that one. Which statement is true with respect to the annual geometric mean return? Means there's been no change in the investment value. Takes compound into consideration. It is found by adding annual returns and dividing by the number of years. It's also known as the return of risk on adjusted capital. Yeah, it's found by what is statement is true with respect? It takes compounding into consideration. It is found by adding annual returns and dividing by the number of years. Annual returns divided by the number of years. That's geometric mean. I think it takes compounding. Which risk measure is equal to the square root of the variance? Standard deviation. Wishes to purchase a stock with a low market risk. Which measure would indicate such a stock? Low market risk. Low variance. Yeah. A client's bond portfolio has a duration of 10. He expects interest rates to rise, so he shortens the duration of his portfolio to 5. However, interest rates unexpectedly drop. Which statement's true? Had no impact on his realized return because it doesn't measure risk. Would have resulted in a larger capital gain. He earned a higher return with a duration of 5 than 10. Duration of 5 would have lessened his realized capital loss. Which lists investments in order of declining risk? Yeah. Bonds, debentures, common shares, debentures, treasury bills. Yeah. Investments of order of declining risk. Derivatives, bonds, debentures. Debentures, yeah. So common shares, debentures, derivatives, bonds, debentures, yeah. An investor, we're on question 20 of 30. Choose a number 1 through 5. Show my profile pictures. That's it. I didn't really like it. Oh, yeah, interesting. Choose a number on 1 through 5. 4. An investor who believes that the capital markets are completely efficient would have a preference for what type of mutual fund? Oh, index fund. Yeah, because if you believe that the markets will do their thing, you like an index fund because the management expense ratio is the lowest, and it proves that the markets as a whole, they can do well over the long haul if you let them work. It's a passive investment approach. Okay, question 21 of 30. Choose the primary influence on the value of the company's shares. Primary influence on the value of company shares. Expected future earnings, past earnings, prospects for the industry the company participates in, the company's past earnings, company's liquidity and risk ratios, future earnings, expected future earnings. What are the liquidity ratios used for? To show how well the company can deal with its debt obligations, to show what the company's shares are worth, to judge the company's ability to more short-term commitments, illustrate how well management is making use of the company's resources. I'm going to say to show how well the company can deal with its debt obligations. Indicate how a company should classify a term loan taken against its headquarters on its statement of financial position. Term loan taken against its headquarters. That's a long-term liability. Term loan against its headquarters on its statement of financial position. How would that be classified? Term loan, long-term liability, current liability. I'm going to say long-term liability. Select the asset that is subject to amortization. Land, trade receivable, truck, land. Define total shareholders' equity. Total shareholders' equity is assets plus retained earnings. Total shareholders' equity, assets plus retained earnings. Yeah. We're almost there. Define gross profit. Revenues less total expenses. Define gross profit. Yeah, gross profit, revenue less cost of sales. Gross profit, revenue less cost of sales. You're leaving? All right, sounds good. Revenue less cost of sales. Total expenses less cost of sales. Revenue less total expenses. Revenue less total expenses and net income. Yeah. Revenue less cost of sales is gross profit. Yeah. Okay, select the formula. used to calculate closed retained earnings for a fiscal period. Retained earnings at the beginning of the period less dividends. Less dividends plus profits for the period equals closing retained earnings. Yeah. So retained earnings at the beginning, less dividends, less profits for the period equals closing retained earnings. Okay. I'm going to say at the beginning of the period, less dividends, less profits for the period. Yeah. Plus profits. Closing retained earnings. Identify the section of a Canadian auditor's report that outlines the financial statement responsibilities for management. Ooh, a Canadian auditor's report that outlines the financial statement responsibilities of management. Fourth section. Identify the type of ratio that the debt to equity ratio is categorized. Liquidity ratio, risk analysis value ratio, operating performance ratio, liquidity ratio. Last question on this one. Select the necessary criteria for meaningful external comparisons. We've only got an hour left. I got to bullet through this. Select the necessary criteria for meaningful external comparisons. Do not need to be similar in operation, but companies need not to be similar in operation. Companies should be similar in operation, but the basis used to calculate each ratio compared does not need to be the same. Companies should be in similar operation. The basis used to calculate each ratio compared should be the same. Yeah. Okay. This one I got 53% on that section. Okay, so the last two, yeah, I'll need to work on those more. So first section, chapters 1 to 3, I got 80%. Chapters 4 to 6, 47%. Chapters 7 to 9, 53%. So I got some work to do. Last night, whenever I said, I've been subscribed to you for 5 years, that's crazy. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Okay, so 53%. Okay. Let's go back. So that's 7 to 9. Now we're on, this one's big, 10 to 13. Oof, because there's a lot of questions in this. There's like 40 questions. I'll try and get it done fast, but this is going to take up the bulk of my time. So I do have 3 hours to do the exam. I don't know if I can get all the chapters done in that time, but I'm going to do my best. Who is responsible for the tax on dividend income distributed to mutual fund unit holders? Select the entity that is ultimately responsible for the activities of mutual fund trust. Entity. For the activities. Fund manager. Identify the organization responsible for maintaining records of the owners of the mutual fund units. Registrar or trustee? Registrar or trustee? Responsible for maintaining records. Registrar. Identify the organization responsible for regulating mutual funds in Canada. CIRO. Federal government. CIRO. Provincial Securities Commission. Yeah. Identify how an open-end trust may avoid taxation on dividend income. Dividends are equal to net income. Dividend tax credit. Past dividends to unit holders. Yeah. Identify who has the ultimate responsibility for the calculation of the fund's net asset value per share. Fund manager. Distributor. Custodian. Yeah. Identify the document in which the principal investment objectives and policies of a mutual fund's trust are set out. Annual Information Fund. Declaration of Trust. Identify the document in which the principal investment objectives and the policies. Annual Information Fund. Scott's client has asked for a recommendation for an investment strategy. The client regularly receives small amounts of dividends from her mutual fund that she does not need as current income. Recommended strategy. Reinvestment of dividends into new shares. A mutual fund corporation has an income of $150,000 before fees and expenses and $110,000 after fees. Calculate the amount that the corporation should declare as dividends to mimic the flow-through status that a mutual fund trust would enjoy in this situation. And $110,000 after fees and expenses. So I guess before. $40,000. How many hours are you in? I'm an hour in. Yeah. 110,000 after fees and expenses. A mutual fund corporation has an income of 150,000 before fees and expenses and 110,000. I'm going to say before fees and expenses, 150,000. An investor can cancel a mutual fund within which of the following periods? Within 48 hours of receiving confirmation of the purchase. Yeah. The value of money market securities should still fluctuate with changing interest rates, but the fluctuation would be relatively small. Select the reason behind the rationale from the following options. Are short-term investments. Most of the money market net assets are investments in equity. Yeah, money market funds are short-term investments. According to the National Instrument 81-102, what would be an acceptable average term to maturity for a money market fund? 91 days. How often do money market funds distribute their earned income? Monthly. Money market. Describe how the effective yield calculation treats the 7 days return yield. Earn weekly. Yeah, it assumes that the returns earned weekly. Oh yeah, it assumes that the investor will redeem the fund units that are equal to the weekly return as needed. Yeah, that the returns earned weekly are reinvested in the fund. Yeah. Select the correct statement about the risk associated with conservative mutual funds. Lower risk than money. Oh yeah, mortgage mutual funds are considered to carry lower risk than no. Bond funds are considered to carry higher risk than mortgage funds. Nice, we're almost halfway through this quiz. Please answer my question. Are you still subscribed to me? Yes. Yes, I am, yeah. What type of risk is primarily associated with mortgage funds? Default risk, yeah. When are residential mortgages considered conventional? When they do not exceed 80% of the appraised value of the property. Which of the following is unlikely to be found in a money market fund? Provincial Government of Canada Treasury bills, yeah. Money market 10-year provincial bonds maturing in 1 year. Government of Canada bonds maturing in 10 years. Consider a money market fund with $5 million of net assets. After 7 days, had assets of. What is the fund's current yield? 5 million in assets after 7 days, had assets of that. Okay, yeah. Current yield. 5 million. 3250. Is that right? 5 million and 5 million 3250. am I at? 27? No. Nah, that won't do it. Divided by 5,032,50. $5,032,50. You see my new videos, and can you please comment on my... Yeah, I can after this, yeah. Gotta get through this first. Oh, man. I'm gonna get... Forget this one. If a fund manager feels that interest rates will rise, what action will she likely take? Sell their units before interest rates rise? Revise the portfolio and reduce portfolio duration. Reduce portfolio duration, yeah. What is the primary investment objective of an equity growth fund? Capital gains. What type of mutual fund is best approximated by an ETF? Equity index fund. With regards to derivatives, what is the main difference between a hedger and a speculator? Takes a bet on future movements in the market, and a hedger uses derivatives as insurance. Speculator takes a bet on future movements in the market, and a hedger uses derivatives. Nice. It's me asking if you want to see more Minecraft content, and if you see my second video, I am a girl, but I don't care what people think. Oh, okay. What class of fund has the objective of earning both current income and capital gains while at the same time preserving capital? Balanced fund. What balanced fund is consistent with a defensive position in relation to equity markets? Yeah, fund with aggressive 20% aggressive equity and 80% fixed income. Yeah. When is a balanced fund most likely to hold large amounts of stock? When interest rates have peaked, when the equity market is set for an increase. Corporate profits are weak when both stock and bond markets are volatile. Yeah. When equity market's set for an increase. Yeah. What is the assumption that target dates are structured on? Risk tolerance declines as investors grow older. Risk tolerance, yeah, less defensive position is needed as the more aggressive growth stocks are needed. Risk tolerance declines as investors grow older. Nice, we're almost done this one. Where is a target date fund most likely to be reclassified upon its maturity date? Where is it? Okay, aggressive growth fund, conservative growth fund, fixed income, and balanced funds. Yeah. Where is a fund most likely to be reclassified upon its maturity date? Fixed income and balanced funds. What is true of foreign source dividends? They are taxed at the same rate as Canadian. They are taxed at the same rate as Canadian dividend income. They're taxed at the same rate as Canadian interest income. They're taxed at a lower rate. Yeah, they're taxed at the same rate as Canadian interest income. Client owns units of a pool of mutual funds. What type of funds of funds? Yeah. What type of fund is the client likely invested in? Funds of funds. The performance of principal protected note may not exactly track the performance of the underlying asset. Identify the type of risk. Currency. No. Credit, liquidity. The performance of a principal protected note may not exactly track the performance of the underlying asset. Type of risk, credit risk. Yeah. Liquidity, currency, no. Credit risk. So we got 8 more questions in this one. And if you look at my channel, you don't see my face because I'm not allowed to. No, that's fair. Nice, and it's already been 77 minutes. It's a good stream. A hedge fund manager purchases shares of ABC Energy Limited because she expects their shares will rise in value after it takes over control of XYZ Energy Consolidated. Yeah. Purchase shares of ABC Energy Limited because she expects their shares will rise in value after it takes over control of XYZ Energy Consolidated. Determine the strategy the manager has used. After it takes over. Event driven. Select the relationship between the trading price of a closed-end fund trade with respect to their net asset value. Yeah, they may trade above or below their net asset value. I remember this. What time is it there? 6:04 there. So you're 3 hours ahead. So it's 3:04 p.m. Pacific, my time. Identify the type of sales fee that is charged on an exchange traded fund. Front-end load, management fee, broker's commission. Broker's commission, yeah. Because it trades like a stock. Select the usual minimum holding period required for an investor in a segregated fund to qualify. It took 10 years. Select the segregated fund term that refers to the person who purchased the contract. Fund term that refers to the person who purchased the contract. Annuitant, contract holder. Contract holder. Identify the minimum maturity guarantee on a segregated fund, 75%. Invested $200,000 in a segregated fund that includes 100% maturity guarantee. The market value of the fund at maturity is $215,000. Determine the value of the maturity guarantee, 0, because they only get if it lost in value. What time do you usually wake up? I wake up at 12 this morning. Oh my God. I woke up at 8:30 a.m. Pacific on weekends and 7:30 or 7 a.m. on weekdays. We're almost done this one. We're almost done. 44 minutes left. Oh my God. I got so many chapters still to do. This was just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is only half, like 9 chapters. Calculate the minimum annual withdrawal amount for a 7% guaranteed minimum withdrawal benefit. Guaranteed GMWB plan of purchase for $200,000 with a current market value of $150. Minimum 7%. Really? All right. Yeah. Yeah. So times 14,000. There it is. Last question in this quiz. Select a factor that results in management expenses for portfolio funds being higher than for individual segregated funds. Yeah, friends, the investor pays for the asset allocation service. Yeah. I get 88% on this one. So I really understand. This is chapter, what was this one? Chapter, which one did I just do? Section 4? Yeah. that was section, so chapter 10 to 13. See, that was 4 chapters. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. So I smoked that one. 88% on this one. And then I'm starring the ones that I didn't do as well on. So yeah, so that one was good. That one was good. Wow, we've done a lot of chapters. So 10. So we've done 3. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12 chapters already. Holy smokes. Okay. Okay, so we are on. Let's see how fast I can get these done. So I'm almost done. I got 2 more sets of quizzes to do. And I think they're. How long are they? 30 questions or 20? 30. Oh my God. So 30 questions. This one's. Let's see. Okay. Calculation heavy. Yeah. So evaluating mutual funds, chapter 14 to 16, and then chapters 17 to 18. Yeah. What is the approximate Sharpe ratio for the, based on the following information: 3-month treasury bill, north 1 month, yeah, 1-year return, standard deviation. So beginning net asset value. Got it. Oh, it didn't fall. I just had to mute it there for a second. Okay, so we're in question 8 of 30. We got 33 minutes left to finish. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 5 more chapters. Okay, let's do this. S&P 500 index. The rate of return was 4.2%. Standard deviation of the portfolio was 2, while the risk-adjusted rate of return using the Sharpe ratio showed a return of 0. What conclusion can be drawn? Stock is desirable because a Sharpe ratio close to 0 signals superior performance. The risk-free rate must be equal to the standard deviation. While the risk-adjusted rate of return using the Sharpe ratio showed a return of 0%. Must be equal to the risk-free. Must be the risk-free. Yeah. A fixed income manager who invests solely in the government of Canada bonds can mitigate what type of risk? A fixed income manager who invests solely in government of Canada bonds can mitigate what type of risk? Default risk. Aaron, a fund manager who has moved a significant portion of his portfolio, because I heard a kid whenever you muted it. Oh, no, I don't have kids. Not yet. A fund manager has moved a significant portion of his portfolio out of bonds to cash in. Aaron, a fund manager has moved a significant portion of his portfolio out of bonds to cash in anticipation the Bank of Canada is going to raise its overnight lending rate by 50 basis points. Interest rate risk, exchange rate risk, unique risk, to help alleviate what type of investment risk? Exchange rate, no, interest rate risk. Which results in a mutual fund experiencing a negative Sharpe ratio. Negative Sharpe ratio. Which results in a mutual fund experiencing a negative Sharpe ratio. Mutual fund underperformance benchmark perform better than the mutual fund. Riskless assets perform better than the mutual fund. Underperformance peer group. Yeah. Mutual fund underperformance peer group. What measure most directly captures the additional value a fund manager brings to a fund's return? Alpha, beta, Sharpe ratio, alpha. What investment philosophy entails buying stocks of mature companies that are currently out of favor and trade at a discount to book value? Value investing. Portfolio manager who has shifted investment assets from, hey, how's it going, Bob? Bobby Kelly. Welcome to the live. Not yet. Yeah, no. No, not yet. Not yet, but soon. Portfolio manager who has shifted investment assets from technology stocks to consumer staples, securities in anticipation of market downturns. What type of investment ideology? Sector rotation. Here we go. What type of investment strategy uses technical analysis and aims to capitalize on the existing market trends? Investment strategy uses technical analysis and aims to capitalize on the existing market trends. Growth investing. What fixed income investment approach involves moving between long-term bonds and short-term treasury bills in advance of foreseen monetary policy changes? What fixed income investment approach involves moving money between long-term bonds and short-term treasury bills in interest rate anticipation? Which report captures the changes in a money manager's investment patterns over a measurement period? Style analysis. Portfolio opportunity set. Which report captures the changes in a money manager's investment patterns over a measurement period? What? No, not yet. Not yet. Which one of the following statements best describes the reward to risk ratio? Funds return divided by the fund's standard deviation. The funds return minus the risk-free rate divided by the fund's beta. The funds return minus the risk-free rate divided by the fund's standard deviation. So which of the following best describes the reward to risk ratio? Holy moly, my brain's starting to hit a wall. The funds return minus the risk-free rate, divided by the fund's standard deviation is the reward to risk ratio. That's it. All right, here we go. We're almost there. I found 27 minutes. I'm going to try and cram the rest of these questions in. Pays a fee per unit when she purchases a mutual fund. Identify the type of fee that this is a front-end load fee. Identify the charges paid by a mutual fund to a fund service providers. Trailer fees, trustee fees, sales commissions, management fees. Fund service providers, management fees. Identify the arrangement between an insurance company and an individual in which an investor gives a specific amount of money to an insurance company in return for regular payments. Annuity. Identify the calculation used to determine the management expense ratio. Annual total of all fees and expenses divided by average net assets. Operating expense divided by, annual total of all fees and expenses divided by average net assets. For management expense ratio. We're almost there. Oh, yeah, it's all good. Identify the fee that may be charged to investors who hold mutual funds in an RRSP and an RESP. What? Trustee fee. Yeah, that's right. Setup fee, management fee, safekeeping fee. So trustee fee. Calculate the purchasing price per unit for an investor purchasing a fund with an asset value per unit of $14 and an acquisition fee of 2.5%. Purchasing price per unit. So 2.5% purchasing price per unit. Ooh, so 2.5%. Yeah. Boom. Rebecca receives $6 per share of capital gains distribution from each fund, assuming she is in a 30% tax bracket. Calculate her income tax payable. How does it go again? So, calculate her income $6 per share of capital gains distribution from a mutual fund. assuming she's in a 30% tax bracket. So it's 50% of that. So it's 30% on that. So 0.3 times 6 is $1.80. So assuming she's in a 30% marginal tax bracket, calculate her income tax payable. 50% for the capital gains would be $3. And then $1.80 for her marginal tax bracket. So 6 minus 3 minus $1.80. So $1.20. Nope. Okay. Receive $6 per share of capital gains from her mutual fund, assuming she is in a 30% tax bracket. Calculate her income tax. So I guess they're just referring to her income tax payable. So $1.80. Oh, we're so close, Mindset fam. Okay. Okay. Before a 20-cent distribution had net asset value per unit of $12. Calculate the number of units an investor would hold after the distribution if he held 2,000 units prior to the distribution. So 400 extra units for that distribution. So 2,400 times, or let's see, times 12. So before 20 cents distribution at 12 net asset value, calculate the number of units an investor would hold after the distribution. Yeah. I'm stuck on this one. Calculate the number of units an investor would hold after the distribution. Okay. I'm gonna say nah. Yeah, so 2,400 units. 2,400, so divide by 2,400 units. So, yeah, So, I'm gonna have to guess on this one, guys. It's taking me too much time. Doug's daughter is planning on spending 3 years traveling Europe. He has asked for advice on a systematic withdrawal plan that will allow his daughter to have periodic payments for an investment fund with the goal of exhausting the entire fund by the end of the 3 years. Fixed dollar withdrawal plan. Fixed period withdrawal plan. Client has accumulated $100,000 in mortgage fund. The client's indicated she requires a fixed amount of $1,500 to be withdrawn from her fund on a monthly basis. Fixed dollar withdrawal plan. Is that it? Yeah. In comparison to a universe of 200 funds, a particular manager is ranked in the first quartile. First quartile. Yeah, so first quartile was the worst. Fund performance was ranked at the bottom of all the other funds. Nice. 77% on that one, Mindset fam. Freaking rights. All right. Ooh. So 3 sections of this. I'm getting it. Again, no reference to notes or anything. Let's start again tomorrow. 100%, Justin. Yeah, 100%. I'll do another one, another study with me tomorrow. Okay. Sweet. We've got 18 minutes to finish this last one. That's enough time. Then I've simulated the actual exam in 2 hours. So this one's only 20 minutes. So let's do this. 2 more chapters I have to do in 18 minutes, and then we're gonna have lunch. Identify the maximum amount of protection per customer under the account under the Canadian Investment Protection Fund, $1 million. Identify the obligation that a dealer has with regards to accepting an unsuitable order. No obligation. The order must be accepted and processed, or may be processed only with a note on file. Unsolicited orders must not be accepted. When investing into a spousal RSP, identify the individual that know your client information is required for. When investing in a spousal RSP, identify the individual that know your client information is required for. Higher income spouse, lower income spouse, non-contributing spouse. Know your client. Contributing spouse. Yeah. Non-contributing. I'm going to say contributing spouse. Yeah. Identify the minimum frequency with which a dealer must request in writing for updates of material information, at least annually. Indicate the type of account that requires a date of birth to be on file. Registered account. A minor purchases a mutual fund. Choose the action that the minor may take prior to reaching the age of majority. Revoke the purchase, cancel the purchase, and receive the current market value. Yeah. We're almost there. 16 minutes and then we're done. A joint account is open. Choose a criteria that may differ among the owners of the joint account. Investment knowledge. Who must authorize a limited trading authorization? Auditor. Who must authorize a limited trading authorization? Limited trading authorization. Legal counsel, auditor, CIRO. Select the term used to refer to accepting cash gained illegally and making it appear legitimate. Money laundering. Marie has delegated certain duties to Ted, her unregistered assistant. Ted hands out order forms for mutual funds, provides information to Marie's clients about net assets, takes redemption orders from clients, and takes completed orders to Marie to process. Determine the activity that Marie should not be delegating. Taking redemption orders. Julia receives a fax from a client stating a change in address and marital status. She updates the Know Your Client form and alters the risk profile and investment objectives to reflect the client's new relationship. After sending the form for approval, her branch manager notifies her that she has acted inappropriately. Determine her error. Receives a fax from a client stating a change in address and marital status. She updates the Know Your Client form and alters the risk profile to reflect the client's new relationship. Signing the form for approval, her manager notifies her. Okay. Updating the Know Your Client information without discussing it with the client. Yeah. Derek is meeting. We got 8 more questions. We're almost done. Yeah, you're the only one again. That's right. Keep it going. All the way. Lots of watch time for Diva Cheetah. Derek is meeting with 4 siblings who wish to pool their money for investment purposes. After completing the Know Your Client information, he notes that 2 of the siblings have limited and 2 have expert investment knowledge. They all have similar risk profiles, investment time horizons, and investment objectives. They would prefer maximum flexibility and trading authority. Determine the type of account that would meet their needs. Tenants in common. Oh man, yeah, this one. Tenants in common or investment club? Tenants in common. Which of the following sales practices are permitted? Indicating to clients that a particular mutual fund is registered for sale in a given province, selling mutual funds to individuals who are not residents, no. Providing investment guidance with respect to individual stocks and bonds, but only if they're held with your institution's mutual funds. Selling mutual funds that are not registered for sale, yeah. Sometimes there are no rules that directly cover a situation. What should the mutual fund sales representative rely on to make the appropriate decision? Intuition, ethics, knowledge. Ethics. Identify the duty of care component that requires all recommendations to be based on careful analysis of the client in the particular transaction. Priority of client interest, due diligence. Yeah. Identify the action that breaches the expectation of professionalism. Identify the action that breaches the expectation of professionalism. Continuously takes refresher. Devotes approximately 2 hours per day to his personal account. Yeah. That breaches the expectation of professionalism. Devotes approximately 2 hours per day to his personal account. Yeah. Identify the component of integrity that requires that representatives ensure clients' assets are used solely for the client's purposes. Respect for clients' assets. Component of integrity that requires their representatives ensure clients' assets are used solely for the client's purposes. Respect for clients' assets. Know your client falls under which primary value? Know your client, yeah. Duty of care, professionalism, confidentiality, integrity. Know your client. Duty of care, confidentiality, professionalism. Duty of care. Yeah. I'm going to say duty of care. Integrity, confidentiality. What is one of the major principles of professionalism? All client information must be strictly confidential. Diligent effort must be made to learn all the essential facts about the client. So yeah, client's assets must not be used to suit an advisor or another person's interest. Yeah. So that's, yeah, professionalism. So that's acting in a professional manner. All client information must be kept strictly confidential. So that's professionalism. Jamie's clients contact him and ask him to sell all of his holdings. Clients contact him and ask him to sell all of his holdings in the ABC Mutual Fund immediately, explaining that he has information that the fund will be switching managers. Contact him and ask him to sell all of his holdings in ABC Mutual Fund immediately, explaining that he has information that the fund will be switching managers in the next 3 weeks. Immediately advises his other clients to sell. What primary confidentiality, primary value has Jamie violated? Integrity, compliance. I'm going to say confidentiality. Yeah. Yes. 65% on this one, Mindset Fam. Can I be more than a basic mod? Okay, so we got 65% on that one. Not bad. So there's just 2 sections, chapters 4 to 6, chapters 7 to 9, that I got to work on because those are more heavy on formulas. So I'll be working on those, but not bad. And then I can dive a bit deeper on to do better. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Not bad. 4 sections where I did well, where I got 80% or higher. 65% on this last section, and I did that in 2 hours. I did that in Wow, I did that in 1 hour 51 minutes. Holy, that was fast. All the chapters, because they chunk them in sections. So I treated that like a mock exam. That was pretty good. Oh, that feels good. Oh man, that was pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. With 6 minutes to spare, or 9 minutes to spare. Not bad. Okay, 65%, 77%, 88%, and then 53, 47, and 80. Okay. Now I know what I need to work on. So let's leave our stream there for now. Holy, my phone's warm. We got all of them done. Mindset fam. Then I can go dive deeper into the other sections. Does it let you make you more than a regular mod? Let's see. It doesn't let me, I don't think. If I remove you of a standard mod, hang on. Add as moderator. So a managing moderator? Yeah, no, it doesn't allow me to. It's fine if not. Yeah. I'll just keep you as standard mod. It doesn't let me have any other more than a basic mod, yeah. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Again, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be a peace mindset fam. I will probably stream a workout later. I'm gonna get back to push-ups, so I'm gonna take a little break, give the brain a break, but now we know where we're at and what we need to work on. So top 3 weakest chapters are right there. Yeah, chapters 4 to 6, chapters 7 to 9. So I can work on those. Yeah, I'm gonna have lunch now. So I'll leave it there. And then we'll go from there. Yep. Because my brain needs